called customizing data or a configuration data. Second one is called transactional data. And the third one is called master data. Now, the first one, as SAP is a predefined ERP solution, that means it already had all your business processes with reference to the utility companies. Predefined. When I say predefined, you just need to plug in, activate them, and start using them. That is called ERP. So anything which is already existing and we are going to reuse or we are going to use them is called configuration or customizing the data or customizing SAP according to your needs. Next, even though SAP is coming with predefined solutions, but it may not be matching. It may not be. Give me 1 second, guys. You guys hear me now? So SAP comes with a predefined solution. Your utility company requirement may not be mapping 100% with the SAP solution, right? Or else whatever SAP is suggesting, it might not be fitting 100% to your business requirement. So in such cases, you can also enhance your SAP system to map it or to match it with your business requirement. That is called enhancement. So enhancement is a part of RISEF, purely technical. So if you are learning ABAP, you learn RICEFW, RICEFW. R stands for reports, I stands for interfaces, C stands for conversion, E stands for enhancements, F stands for forms, and W stands for workflows. So these are the areas where you're going to enhance the system to match or to map it with the business requirements. That is called customizing your SAP system or configuring your SAP system. So that is the first data what we do in SAP. The second one is called transactional data. Transactional data is your reserving or you're storing your day-to-day activities of a business user. Communicating with the customers, interacting with the customers, customer move-ins, move-outs, transfer of services, customer bills, invoices, meter reads, sending up bill to the customers, collecting the payments, taking care of your past due balances and all the stuff. Every day, whatever the activities a business is going to do, all that information will be stored as transactional data. And the third set is called master data. In a simple statement, master data is, there are two different statements for the master data. One statement is your master data is a set of information maintained only one time, but it's very rare that we're going to modify it. That means the master data, you're going to set it once. It's very rare you might need some changes on that. The other definition of it is the data which can be maintained or shared between the departments is called master data. Now let me take an example. As a customer, you'll be providing your information like your first name, last name, middle, your address, your telephone number, email ID, your social security number, driver license, and all this stuff, right? So how often you're going to change your details? Obviously, first name, last name is not going to change. Your social security is not going to change, right? At the max, you're going to change your address, your phone number, your email ID, right? Certain information, it's mandatory and it's permanent. You're not going to change it. You'll not allow you to change it. That sort of data, we call it as master data. Second definition, we said master data can be maintained or shared by different departments or different modules. Let me take an example of the same business partner. Your business partner information, like a customer information, if I talk to a customer service agent or a customer service department or a module, the customer information is we're going to take care of your first name, last name, and all this address and all this stuff. Based on your last name and social security number, they go and check the credit history, credit score, and based on that, they're going to take certain decisions. Like how much you are going to charge a security deposit, are we going to turn on the power or turn off the power, and all this stuff. The same information, if I ask a device management people, they say, I'm going to pick that address and I'll trace my device, where the device has been installed, what device has been installed, what is this meter read, how do I reach out to the meter, do we have any restrictions in that property, and all this stuff. The same business partner information, if I go to a billing module, the billing module is going to use that business partner details to identify whether it is a residential customer or a commercial customer or an industrial customer. And based on that, your system will take a decision what sort of charges we're going to calculate, how we're going to calculate, and how we're going to apply those charges and taxes, right? And the same information, if I go with an invoicing, I'll take the business partner information and I'm going to calculate the taxes and I'll trace the address so that I can send the invoice to the customer, bill print. Same business partner information, if I go get into FICA, financial accounting, contract accounts, receivables, and tables, I'll determine where the amount has to be posted, where I need to track his past due balances or due amounts or past due or previous balance and all that stuff. Payments has to be tracked, how the customer history is, whether the customer is in active status, inactive status, or deactivated status, what exactly the customer is. And I also track the customer behavior on the payment side, right? One business partner details, but in the different departments, the different reasons. That's where we said a master data will be maintained only once. And the second definition was the master data can be maintained or shared between the different departments. Quite clear? Any questions so far? Yeah. So when it comes to the master data, depending on the industry, the master data might change or will change. If I take R3, our core module, like a ECC, we call it as Enterprise Central Component, as a whole SAP R3. The master data will be your organizational structure. Then your master data will be sales area, and your master data will be your customer master, material master, equipment master, right? Whereas utilities, the master data will change. Certain things is common cut across the industries, cut across all the modules, and cut across all the industry segments. Like your organization structure is common, but there could be more elements, less elements. For example, if I go with a retail industry, I might be maintaining my company code, sales organization, sales area, plans, service locations. Sorry, warehouse locations, storage locations, shipping points, and all this stuff. When it comes to utilities, I just need an organizational unit and I need to know maintenance planning plans. I'm not worried about where you're storing, how you're storing it, how you're shipping it, how where your warehouse is maintained, and all this stuff is nothing to do with your utilities, right? So that's the reason I said depending on the application, depending on the module, your organization structure will change. Second, in utilities, we have three sets of information under the master data, apart from your organization structure. As I said, organization structure is common everywhere. Apart from organization structure, utility specific master data is, we call it as schedule master data. This was not updated, but don't worry about this one. Schedule master data. Second one is called technical master data. And the third one is called commercial or business master data. Okay, so these are the three major master data we have to discuss. Scheduling, technical, commercial master data, or in general, we call it as schedule master records or schedule master data, technical master data, and business master data, BMD. Okay, business master data. In schedule master data, schedule master data is, in a simple terminology, when and how we're going to bill the customers, when and how we're going to read the meters. Simple. Okay. Scheduling is how you're going to schedule your entire population so that your resources can reach out to the customer premises to get the meter reads, and then based on the meter read you're going to bill the customers. So you need to have a time slot, you need to have a schedule. That schedule is called schedule master data or schedule master records. Any questions so far? So today, in today's session, we are going to talk about schedule master data, and then we'll go with business master data and technical master data. So schedule master data is a part of device management, so that's the reason I'm jumping on to device management. So here, this is your overall cycle. Now, even before getting into this cycle or the slide, I have a quick question to you guys. Have you guys ever observed or your utility bill or your electricity utility bill? Have you ever looked into that electricity bill? My only question is, do we have a specific time that you're going to get your bill, or it just flies in any time? Question to you guys.
Within a specific time.
Sorry?
Within a specific time.
you'll be getting your bill on an average on the same period, right? Maybe plus or minus 1 or 2 days.
Yes, yes,
But you'll be getting your bill on the specific time frame.
yes,
How?
yes.
Just because your utility has a schedule that these customers or these areas or these routes or reads or whatever you call it as, those has to be built on so and so date of every month. That is called schedule. So we call it as a meter read schedule and a billing cycle or a billing schedule. So first thing is we will decide when and how we're going to bill the customers. Now the question is, if I want to bill the customer, I must have the meter reads. So depending on your billing cycle, I need to have a meter read cycle where I can go and get the meter read, right? So these two are interdependent. So first thing we'll decide the billing cycle, and based on the billing cycle, we'll decide the meter read cycle. Okay. Now coming back to this slide, it is a representation of how we're going to handle your meter to cash business process. So as part of your meter to cash business process, based on the meter read schedule, you will be creating the meter read orders. And those meter read orders will be sent to the head end system or the meter readers or the technicians. Now here, let me take a break here. Let me put a pause. If it is analog meters or a traditional meters or a grandfather meters, a meter reader has to visit the property in person to collect the meter read, right? Whereas if it is a smart meter, I don't need to, but I need to create a meter read order, but I don't need to send a technician or a meter reader to go and read the meters. As in when I trigger the meter read orders, your smart meters are going to communicate with the MDM system or the head-end system to grab the meter reads, and that will be uploaded into SAP automatically. But in any of these cases, depending on my schedule, I'm going to create my meter read orders. And depending on the situation, if it is analog, I'll send the meter read order to the meter shop. If not, grab the meter reads, right? So once I get the meter reads, those meter reads are going to be uploaded into SAP. And while uploading, your system is going to do some sort of validation, some sort of checks and balances. And if everything looks good, we call it as plausible meter reads. Those will be getting into the billing and a bill and an invoice will be created. If something goes wrong with the meter read, it will be parked aside, which is called implausible meter reads. And someone personally has to look into those meter reads in person, like agents or back office people. They have to look into the system. They need to determine whether the meter read is accurate or not. If it is not, they reverse it. If it is yes, they release it, right? So that is called your meter read corrections. So this is the entire process. In this, the main activity is your schedule. So in SAP, the meter read schedule and billing cycle schedule, we call it as, or else let me go into this. Your schedule master data is classified into two sections. One is called billing cycle and one is called meter read cycle. Those two are represented in SAP as portion and a meter reading unit, MRU. Portion, it basically gives a billing cycle, when and how to bill the customer. MRU, meter reading unit, gives a schedule when and how you're going to read the meters. Okay, so you have two things. One is called portion and one is called MRU. Portion is a billing cycle. MRU is a meter read cycle. This is what we discussed now. Little bit elaborated way now. Now we'll come back to the meter reading. So first we need to discuss about scheduling. The main purpose of your scheduling, or the main base to get your scheduling, is called meter reading router, or we call it as routing. As a utility company, the entire population, the customer base, is organized based on the street routes. That street route is the base for your scheduling. Okay, let me simplify this one. For instance, you have 2 million customers. I mean, if it is a huge utility, you'll see 6, 7, 8, 9,000, 9 million customers, right? And you can also see a small utility companies where you have 50,000 customers, 100,000 customers, 200,000 customers, right? Both you can see. Now, on an average, let's say I have 2 million customers. So first question is, can I bill those 2 million customers on the same day, on one particular day? I could be, but it doesn't make any sense, right? So if I start doing that, my revenues, the expected revenues is going to be only one particular day every month. So there is no recurring revenue. And at the same time, then if I look into other resources, my manpower, my machineries, all those situations, one day we are going to work, and what are we going to do rest of 29 days? Nothing, right? So I need to adjust by looking into all these thousands of peripheral points or connectivities. I need to distribute my workload accordingly, right? So on an average, let's say if I have 2 million customers, on an average on a specific day or every day, working day, on a working day, I might be billing 25,000 customers, right? Or else 10,000, I mean, yeah, 20,000 makes sense. 20,000 customers on a daily basis, right? If it goes to 6 million customers or 7 million customers, then it will be like 200,000 a day. Those will be decided based on many factors. One of the example, as I said, depending on your resources, depending on your manpower, depending on your technical visibility. Apart from that, you also need to think of the geographical areas. Certain geographical areas are highly uh, dense areas, right? So within 2 miles, you might be saying 200,000 houses. I mean, I'm not saying 200,000, but let's say 2,000 houses. In the same service territory, if I go 4 blocks away, there are only 50 houses, right? So depending on that geographical, geographical areas, depending on the density, and there are many factors which will influence your cycle or a schedule. So your utility company will do all this analysis and rerouting, routing, identifying identifications and everything. Based on that, they'll come and say that these are the billing cycles we have and these are the meter reading cycles. So as a consultant, you just need to listen them and define these meter reading units and portions. This is what I said. Meter reading units are to go and collect the meter readings. So it will also help you to route, to decide the route. And then there's your portion. Your portion is a collective of meter reading units to bill the customers on a specific day. Now let me give you an example why it is a collective. In the same example as we mentioned, if I go with 6 million customers, on an average, we're going to bill 200,000 customers a day, right? So 200,000, that means I need to read 200,000 meters or registers. Just imagine, I don't have a smart meter. Now I need to go and read this 20,000, 200,000 customers. Is it possible in a day? Question to you guys. I have 2 lakh customers. Can I read them on the same day or can I read them on one particular day? Analog meters, traditional meters. I'm not talking about the smart meters. Smart meters, you can go and read them. May not be feasible, right? Because it will drive all your resources. So your manpower, your transition, and your transportation, fleet maintenance, and all the stuff will get influenced, get impacted. So depending on my resources, depending on all your equipment, machineries, and all the stuff, I would say on an average, I can read 25,000 customers a day or 25,000 meters a day. To build these 200,000 customers, I need 4 days. I mean, sorry, 8 days. Right? 25,000 is four days. We can read for 100,000 customers. 4 days we can read for another 100,000 customers. So on an average, I need 8 days to get the meter reads for all those 200,000 customers. So your portion says I'm going to bill on, same example, I'm going to bill on July 25th, 2026. As I said, I need 8 days to read my meters. So based on this date, if I want to bill this customers on 25th, so I should start gathering the meter reads 8 days in advance. Got my point? So those 8 days are split into different meter reading units. Meter reading 1 could be for 8 days, meter reading 2 could be 7 days, meter reading 3 could be 5 days, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Those many meter reading units you're going to create. Does it make sense? So those are called portions versus meter reading units. So here the yellow section is completely a portion, and within this portion we split them into 3 MRUs: meter reading 1, meter reading 2, meter reading 3. And I have a service territory B, the blue color, and to cover this big service territory, I classified it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meter reading units. Right? So depending on the density, depending on the service area, service territory, depending on your resources, depending on the meter read, accessibility. There are many factors which will influence it. Any questions so far? Now, let's jump on to SAP. So the people who are new to SAP, I hope no one is new, but let me. So this one is called SAP GUI, Graphical User Interface. And most of you guys know that SAP is a client server architecture. The server will be residing somewhere in the global, and you're going to access that server through your GUI. And every person will get their user ID and password. Once you enter with your user ID and password, the first screen what you get is called easy access. Easy access is also known as an end user screen or an end user work area. That means business users are allowed only into this screen. From here, they can do whatever the activities they are doing. And if you look at the screen, of course, point number one, each screen in SAP is called transaction. Remember that. Each screen is called transaction. And every screen will have, this is called menu bar. And this one is called transaction bar. And this one is called title bar. This area is called navigation area. And this area is called work area. And the bottom one, this is called status area. That means you can access certain transactions from the menu bar. And as I just mentioned, right, every screen is called transaction. And to access that screen in SAP, there are two ways. One, you can go through the menu path. This is called menu, right? Navigation bar. Or else, if you know the short key for that screen, you can directly type in that short key here, which is called transaction code. Say, for instance, I want to create a business partner, right? Or I want to create a portion, or I want to create a meter reading unit, or whatever I want. So let's say I want to create a business partner. So I'm going to go with business master data, then business partner, and then double click on maintain business partner. So selecting this one is called menu path, going through the menu path. So this is called transaction, and the transaction code for this is BP, business partner, right? So I came through the menu path. The second one, if I know the short key, this is the short key. If I know the short key, I'm going to enter that short key here, and I can access the transaction code, transaction directly. BP. Clear? So that's the reason I said you have a menu path and you also have a transaction code. It's a short key for that transaction. Now, as I said, this is for the business users. This menu is the access is for the business users. Now, what do we do as a consultant? So if you want to configure or customize the SAP as per your business requirements, then we need to go to another application area which is called SPRO. And then reference IMG. This is called implementation guide. This is where you're going to customize SAP as per the business requirement. This application area, this is implementation guide area, is common for any industry. You can take any application areas like as banking, as real estate, as retail, as oil and gas, as telecommunication, as multimedia, anything. Even if you go with ECC, a core application, everything is in the same. On top of ECC, Enterprise Central Component, depending on the industry, those business components will be activated. So if you look at this one, basically your enterprise structure, financial accounting, controlling, investment management, enterprise control, logistics, sales and distribution, material management, logic execution, all these are R3 modules, which are ECC, core SAP. On top of it, we activated your real estate is one of the industry specific solution. Your health and safety is one of your industry, and you have a banking, real estate. In the same list, we have SAP IS Utilities is a add-on application only for the utility industry. Now, coming to the org structure, as I said, we're going to use an SAP standard org structure, SAP standard company code. But let me show you. This is what we're going to use, 0001. It's an SAP standard company code. And then once you set up the organization structure, but we also need to extend that functionality to utility industry as well, right? Now, once you define the org structure in the enterprise structure, you'll go all the way to SAP IS Utilities. And here you have basic settings for enterprise structure, right? The difference between your ECC and a utilities is in the ECC, you're going to define your divisions. I mean, you're going to define your services as divisions. But those divisions are not directly communicated with your marketing area or your company area. And your material or divisions, whatever you call it as. Whereas in utilities, the services are directly connected to your company code. That is the setting what we have to do here. Allocate company code to divisions. In this section, division is your services. As I said, in utilities, you have electricity, gas, water, waste management, public administration. All those things are called divisions. But of course, you can define your own divisions. There is no thumb rule. It must be 2 digits alphanumerical code and description. That's it. But while allocating this company code and the divisions together, there is one field called joint invoicing, which is a very important field, and it will have an influence all the way after invoicing or while invoicing. Okay. Now, Assume that your utility company is providing more than one service. I've not seen this in India, but in other areas, other service territories, it's quite common that the same utility company might be providing more than one service, right? So if I go with only purely electricity company, then they'll say metered services, which is your house meter, and there is an unmetered service which is called your backdoor lights or a street light or a traffic lights and all that stuff, right? That means you are dealing with two different services. That's one of the examples. Second, let's say there are utility companies who provide electricity and they also have a service with the gas utility. They sell the gas as well as they sell electricity, but they want to maintain with the same system, same ERP, right? So that's how you need to configure. Your company is selling electricity as well as your gas. Now, in this case, customer is using gas and electricity. Let's assume that. So there are houses, the stove will be with the based on the gas and the stove will be electric. Now, in this case, I have two services. One is electricity and one is gas. So option one, how do we want to send the bill to the customer? Do you want to send one single bill which includes your electricity charges as well as your gas charges? Option two, I can send individual invoices, separate electricity bill, separate water bill. Got my point? So that is the decision what we need to take here, allocation of company codes with the divisions, which is called joint invoicing. When you have multiple services and you want to send a single invoice to the customer, that is possible only because of your joint invoicing, JI. Joint invoicing has three options. Contracts must be invoiced together. Customers can be invoiced together. When contracts can be invoiced together, contracts must not be invoiced together. So those are the three options you're going to get. One, contracts must be invoiced together. Option two, can be invoiced together. Option three, must not be invoiced together. If I go with the first option, that means let's say I have electricity and gas, two different services. So though both should be billed together. If I miss any one of these meter reads and if I don't bill the other service will also stop. Let's say that's what I was saying. So I have electricity service and I also have a gas service. Say for instance, for some reason you're not able to access my meter, so I haven't got my electricity meter read. But whereas my gas utility is using a different application, so they already got the meter read ready. When the meter read is ready, my system can bill it, right? Bill and invoice it and send it. But because we are using a joint invoicing, until unless that issue is resolved, we are not going to go forward. That's an advantage with must be invoiced together. Second option is can be invoiced. If you have both the documents ready, I can convert them into invoice and I can send it, right? But it all depends. The third one must not be invoiced together. That means we are not going to combine both the charges, both the services in one print. They want to send a bill separately for each service. Contracts must be invoiced together. Contracts can be invoiced together. Contracts must not be invoiced together. Is that clear? This is your joint invoicing, which is very important. And the next one is allocating your divisions to the division category. Divisions are user defined. That means depending on your utility company requirement, you can define your own divisions. You can call them the way how you want. I'm not saying whether it should be or it must be electricity, gas, water, wastewater, and all. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and define your own divisions. Like um, if you have a water utility, within the water utility, you can say water, wastewater, sewer water, or wastewater is sewer water is same, sprinkler, fire line protection. So you can define your own divisions, right? Or else I can merge three or two different services together and I can call them collectively. Like 99% it will come across in the waste management. In general, we call it as a waste management. But within that waste management, you might be getting three different services, right? Your trash, bulky, and recycle. So you are free to define your own divisions, but your system will not recognize those divisions until unless you allocate those divisions to the division category. Category is SAP standard way of handling the services or identifying the services. Those cannot be enhanced or those cannot be modified. So your division category is the one which will derive the activities what we need to perform based on the service. Simple example. Can I calculate electricity in gallons or liters? Obviously no. Same vice versa. I cannot calculate water utility with kilowatt an hour or kilowatts or power factor and all this stuff, right? So your division category is the one which will control which information you need to show, which information should be in a hidden mode, right? So if I say I'm going to create a division called EL and I'll say electricity. Until unless I assign the division category to that division, it is of no use. Got it? So those are called allocation of divisions to the division category. Division category is a SAP standard. It won't allow you to modify. It won't allow you to create. Nothing. These are SAP standard. And these are user defined. So user defined divisions has to be allocated to your division category. Any questions so far? Okay, then I'll stop it here. In the next session, we'll be continuing how to define your portion, and then we'll continue with your meter reading units. before closing our session, do you guys have any questions?